From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, the Minnesota Vikings remain perfect entering this week's games in the NFL, but they're going to be tested? I think severely tested yes. by the reigning NFC North champion Detroit Lions, who absolutely pummeled the Dallas Cowboys last week in Arlington, Texas. So
Mike Zimmer's defense got shredded.
Yeah, exactly. It was riddled. And I expect a physical game, both sides of the ball. Tough break for the Lions, losing Aiden Hutchinson,
no doubt.
One of the outstanding edge rushers in the NFL. But I think one of the big keys here will be, can Minnesota run the ball on Detroit? Is Aaron Jones going to even be a factor? Because if the Vikings become one-dimensional, the Lions, even minus Aiden Hutchinson, are going to tee off.
Okay. So since you brought Aaron Jones up right out of the gate, Cam Akers re-added to the lineup or to the roster. They acquire him from Houston. And, of course, this is a guy that Kevin O'Connell is familiar with, had him in L.A., had him last year for a while as well. So what does this tell you? Are you thinking that maybe Aaron Jones isn't going to play this Sunday, or maybe isn't 100% yet, or they're concerned that maybe this hip injury is going to resurface sooner rather than later? I mean, to me, this looks like an insurance policy of some kind. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think clearly they want depth in the running back.
Yeah, no doubt.
And there's a definite familiarity factor with KOC and Cam Akers. Now, Akers was with the Texans when they came up here a few weeks ago. He was RB3 for Houston because Joe Mixon was injured and the backup was injured as well. And Akers got the bulk of the carries. Texans got beat up on that day by the Minnesota Vikings. So, I think they probably are making sure that if Aaron Jones is not top-notch physically, we got to have somebody besides Ty Chandler and C.J. Ham and those other guys in the backfield. Is Cam Akers the answer? Well, I don't know. He's never really been RB1.
No, and that brings up another point because they saw what happened to the offense in London when Aaron Jones went down. All of a sudden, that offense became more one-dimensional. And, without that threat of him running the football and or coming out of the backfield and catching the football and keeping those linebackers honest, the offense sputtered. Let's face it, except for that last drive where they got that field goal. Man, the last second half, they just did not move the football at all.
Yeah, I mean, the purple are perfect, and that deserves to be saluted. But the last 6 quarters they've played, 2 in Green Bay and then 4 in London, as you said, offensively they've sputtered. Now, they've been somehow, some way able to win those games. They built big leads in both games. The Vikings have only trailed once this year, and that was early in the first quarter at the New York Giants when the Giants got a field goal. So we haven't seen how Minnesota is going to respond to adversity if the Vikings fall behind, say 10-0, 14-0, 17-7. And that's where you got to make sure you still have the running game. Even though you would think you got to put it up a little more, you can't be one-dimensional. So this is a huge matchup with the Detroit Lions coming into the House of Noise.
And as you said, Detroit absolutely destroyed Dallas. Are the Vikings going to be able to stop Montgomery? Man, he is a machine out of that backfield for the Lions. And the other thing you mentioned, the Vikings rarely trailed. How about this? They're number 1 in the league. They've only trailed for like 2 minutes and 37 seconds the entire season.
That was week 1 against the Giants.
They're playing from ahead usually, and that's a good deal. That's how you win football games. Stay in the lead. Take the lead and stay there.
And Jared Goff, he's clearly turned his career around in Detroit after Sean McVay and the LA Rams did him dirty, in my opinion. And he did take the Rams to a Super Bowl, albeit they lost to New England. But hey, look, this is Jared Goff's hot, and the Lions have a lot of weapons. You mentioned David Montgomery. He's a physical runner. I mean, he tries to dole out the punishment. So this will be a lot of fun. These teams better be ready.
Yeah. Is this Detroit team as good or better than the team they had a year ago? Because, Lions were awfully good last year. They nearly made it to the Super Bowl.
They did, and Dan Campbell, who's a very good head coach. I thought he coached recklessly, though.
No, he did.
NFC title game against San Francisco.
Without punting the football late in the game.
He kind of gave the 49ers a pathway back into the game. And so, but he's still an outstanding coach. Upstairs in the front office, they have good people making, I think it's Brad Holmes, who came from L.A., knows KOC very well, is their GM. So they've done a lot of things right. To me, they're the NFL's version of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, boy.
Laughing stocks, punching bags for years. Now the process is in place for the Lions. And for them, it's about getting to the Super Bowl. But the micro picture is they got to get past Minnesota and get on top of the NFC North, which right now they're not.
Yeah. Well, and the NFC North is exceptionally good right now. You've got 2 4-2 teams with the Packers and the Bears. Yes, I said that. The Chicago Bears are 4-2, and the Lions, as you mentioned, are 4-1, and the Vikings are 5-0. Best division in pro football? Is that fair to say?
Right now it is. It's extremely rare to have 4 teams above 500. 5-6 weeks into the regular season. I mean, come on. And I can already hear the Minnesota Vikings woe is me fan base. Well, wouldn't you know it, the one year we shoot out of the gates like Usain Bolt, we bolt out of the starting blocks, we look behind us, we lose to Detroit, we being Minnesota, they're in second place.
That's true. Well, yeah, okay, they'd be in second place on virtue of the tiebreaker having lost to Detroit.
True.
They both be 5-1.
Yeah.
Right? We'll take 5-1 though.
No, but it's a division that's very competitive.
Yeah.
You could see multiple wild cards out of the NFC North, but again, there's a lot of football left to play.
It's awfully early. I recall the Vikings at one point, a couple seasons ago, were they 7 or 8-0? And
I think it was 6-0.
6-0.
Yeah.
They sputtered and did not even.
There
make
was a
the
5-0 team that didn't make the postseason. And believe me, this extra game, this 17th game. It's only one more game, but it feels to me like it stretches that season out further, and it allows teams who start slow to still find a way to correct themselves. The New York Jets, getting Devontae Adams, truly believe it, 2-4, they can find a way to fix it, and the one thing they do have is enough time. Will it happen? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, we should take a break. We are going to talk some Gopher football. They're on a roll as well.
10K takes, your purple ticket.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. 10,000 takes. Well, you were out in Los Angeles. You saw UCLA go down to the mighty Gophers. You were at Huntington Bank Stadium. You saw USC go down to the Gophers. So a pair of California wins.
A SoCal sweep.
A SoCal sweep, as you call it. Another guy who saw them both, former Minnesota Gopher, and of course, current radio broadcaster Darrell Thompson. Darrell, this is some kind of a run they're on, beating the 2 California teams. When you looked at that schedule at the beginning of the year, USC and UCLA back-to-back. Now, UCLA, isn't the UCLA of your father's era, but they certainly are formidable, and the Gophers win on the road. Anytime you win on the road in the Big Ten, it's a big deal. But winning at home against USC and then beating UCLA, your thoughts coming off those 2 wins as they head into the Maryland game next week?
I think it's exciting. It's a lot of fun. The win against USC was a really pleasant surprise for us. I think as Gopher fans, the aggressiveness that Coach Fleck and Greg Harbaugh and Matt Simon showed offensively to go for it, get a touchdown, and then the great play by Justin Wally a couple breaks up, and then a tremendous interception at the end of the game by Coy Parrish, who's becoming, he's becoming a star, right in front of our eyes, with his return ability and his play and his ball hawking skills defensively, knocking the ball out and things like that. So, and then to go to UCLA and to win there against a team that's on the ropes, but is at home, is desperate, is hungry, and has lost to a lot of really, really good teams. And to withstand a really crappy first half of play, then come back and close it out. And it's been a great 2 weeks.
Darrell, in a 7-day span, and you've been around the Gophers as a player and a broadcaster, from the field rush against USC to all of a sudden broadcasting a game in the Arroyo Seco, the Rose Bowl, sunset over the San Gabriel Mountains, 15,000 Gopher fans in the house. Was it a bit surreal for you?
It was a bit surreal, and I was lucky enough. My brother was able to be there with me, actually, in the press box. My wife was there in the stands with a bunch of friends, and it's a big deal. I think, I didn't take it for granted because I wasn't here around then, but, I have some friends that, I'll go to the next Rose Bowl. This is when they're back in college here, and they never went again. I'm talking about Dave Mona and some of the others, and it's fortunate that people were like, I'm going to go to the Rose Bowl. The road to the Rose Bowl for us is extremely challenging, but we had an easy road this time. We actually were successful.
Okay, let's talk about the offense and what Max Brosmer has brought to the table and the improvement he keeps making from 1 week to the next. I mean, every time I watch this guy, watched him early in the season, thought, this is going to take a while. Well, it hasn't taken as long as you might think. This guy looks pretty good right now.
You know what? To me, he actually grows by series by series. He gets better. He's learning. He's a leader. He's on top of what he's doing. One of the times that Justin Gard caught it on the sideline, he said, I can't throw the ball to everybody in practice, but if you are open, there's a really good chance I'm going to throw you the ball. There was a young man on the backside of a play that wasn't, he was like the fourth option, but he went through 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right. Then he came back to the left and he threw the ball, and the guy was running the route kind of half-assed. And he said, I want everybody's an option. We don't have 5 balls in practice to throw to every single one. We scheme to get a guy open. If he's not open, I go to the next person. That's why I go to the next person, I check down, and then if I scramble around and I throw it to you, but be ready. So Max is Brosmer. I want to get it right. It is Brosmer, as in Bros. Is a talented quarterback. He's fun to watch. And the most exciting piece to me is that they fully trust him. I mean, if Coach Fleck said, hey, Max Cames, I need to borrow your car for a week, you'd be like, oh, yeah, you just throw the keys out the door. So you're good to go, and just run this bad boy. You trust him. And I trust him, actually. I mean, he's a student of the game.
Yeah, and he's orchestrated 2 game-winning drives against the Trojans and the Bruins. And really, that's the measuring stick for great quarterbacks. What do you do when the game's on the line in crunch time? One was the quarterback sneak. The other was that throw to Darius Taylor, who was wide open. I mean, the closest Bruin was in Santa Monica. And I realize it was a design play, but he checked everything before he went back to Taylor. I think, to your point, he's telling everybody, be ready for the ball, isn't he?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got my 1, I got 2, I got 3. That's usually what the play is designed for. And then you're going to throw your check down. And then he's like, no, I want 3 and 4. Your backside guy, if you're running a backside slant or pivot or whatever that might be, said, I might throw you the ball, so just be ready. That play to Darius actually was a great play ball by, Greg Harbaugh and Matt Simon to draw it up and have the back wait, delay, come out and have that little one-on-one with a linebacker that he's going to win almost every time, especially with that much wide open field. And Darius is extremely fast and has great hands. So that was a great play call and took a little bit of guts there. I mean, Darius, came into the game with almost 24 catches, so he can certainly catch the ball out of the backfield.
You mentioned Coy Parrish. Can you tell me what makes this kid so good, the kid from Esco that has exploded onto the scene?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that makes him good is he believes in himself. Every great athlete that I know believes in himself. Coy has no problem with some Coy, and I like it. He's got some moxie, he's got some confidence, and he's a great athlete. And he plays and he's also, I believe, I don't know, I haven't spent any time with him, but just from watching him, observing him, I think he's a student of the game and loves football. So he's paying attention to what he needs to do, where he needs to be, and he's becoming one of the next great safeties. I mean, we've had some great safeties that have been here all the way back to Tyrone Carter, more of a tackling machine, but through, Winfield and Newbin and Sean Lumpkin. And there's been some great safety play here. And he is certainly going to be right in line with those guys. And as he continues to play, is moving up to be one of the greatest, especially in tackling and interceptions. He's already got 3 interceptions, and for a true freshman.
If he stays in Minnesota, is that do you think a possibility that guys get so good now that they take a paycheck to go someplace else? It's crazy.
Oh, I think you're right. It's a little bit crazy, but I think it's a possibility. I also think being the fact that he's here. He's raised here. He's carved his, he's started to carve his niche here. I also think they will take care of him here. I mean, you can always probably kind of go make a little bit more money somewhere else. I don't think he's wired like that, but you never know. I mean, I would hope not, but I think it would be, can't bad blood forever, because someone takes a paycheck, they take a paycheck. But I think he's doing all right, and I think that things will continue as NIL gets better. I'm sure that he's being compensated fairly.
Mm-hmm. And Darrell, to that point, before the game at the Rose Bowl, I saw part of the Penn State USC game at the Coliseum. And as I'm driving to the LA Coliseum, Miller Moss, the Trojans quarterback, has a billboard with a law firm in Los Angeles. And that was when it first hit me that this NIL is real. This wasn't Matthew Stafford of the Rams. This was the SC quarterback. Can Minnesota get to that level with NIL?
Hey, so I had a speech yesterday in St. Cloud. On my way out there, I drove by a billboard that had a picture of Danny Strigo on it talking about eating hamburgers at some restaurant, out in St. Cloud. So, I mean, I think we can get there. We have more Fortune 500 companies. As my man, the late, great Sid Hartman said, there's a reason you're coming to Minnesota. There's more Fortune 500 companies here than any other state in the United States. Just a couple of those companies need to step up. And, I don't say do what's right, but just do what everyone else is doing. Just, we can't do, I can't believe we lost. Well, you know why? You didn't want to, come up off anything. You want to go to a game and see us win, then you might want to, get engaged and, play along like everyone else has been playing along. And now we got a chance. At least it's flat. At least you can, get a little bit of write-off. You can get a little bit of an advantage, and you can get some advertising then versus dropping off a bag of cash at somebody's dorm room.
All right, Darrell, we appreciate it. We will check in with you again later on this season as this Gopher season rolls along.
All right. Thanks. You guys have a great time.
Take care. All right. He is Darrell Thompson, the former Gopher great and current Gopher radio broadcaster, right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us. More to come after this.
You can visit llcoolj.info to understand what the government grants really hit for. You can visit llcoolj.org.com to make sense. Whatever you sell, the government's buying it. You don't need an LLC or an S corporation. We the people. We already pledged allegiance to this nation. It's up to us if the bell toll of freedom rings. That's word from Olivia's child, Sammy's favorite sibling, and I'm out.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. 10,000 Takes. So what is your take? We haven't discussed this yet on the TV show. When you found out that the Pohlads are parting ways with the Twins. After 40 years, only 2 families have owned this franchise since 1920. That's just an amazing number if you think about it. The Pohlads have had it for the last 40 years. Were you surprised to hear it, or do you think that they got a little thin-skinned because folks were railing on them for not, spending money when they had a chance to make the playoffs and so on?
I think it's a combination. Yeah, sure, there was some surprise. I'm not going to tell you that I knew it was going to happen, but look, they're getting banged on a lot. They're like the piñatas, that everyone's taking a swing at. And it's been that way for a while, but I think it's really gotten more pronounced. look, from a PR standpoint, they really fumbled it away last offseason. They're coming out of an ALDS appearance, snapping a long postseason losing streak, 18 in a row, MLB record. They had built up some momentum, some goodwill. And what's the first thing they do? No, they don't sign a free agent and get another big arm to the pitching staff. They say goodbye, Sonny Gray. And, oh, by the way, we're going to pare our payroll.
They announced
we're
that
they're slash it. Yes. So that took all the air out of that playoff balloon a year ago. I don't know if I would have made that public announcement. Now, we would have figured it out eventually.
Of course.
But, I look, I'll give the Pollage credit for this. On their watch, 2 World Series titles, 87, 91. Now, that's a long time ago, but their fingerprints are all over the trophies, the 2 that they won. Some good things were done. I think they handled the social justice issue and the George Floyd tragedy very well. But in a lot of ways, they've whiffed. They have been very bottom line oriented. They clip coupons, and they're thrifty.
Well, and let's not forget that they were considering Major League Baseball allowing them to be contracted back in the early 2000s. And that the Pollads were thinking about selling this team and having it been moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And that fell through at the last minute. So there were a couple of hiccups along the way. Let's not, let's not christen them as the greatest owners of all time. Now, as you said, but when they bought it, they bought the team in 84 and basically the pieces were in place for that 87 championship. If you look at that 84 roster or 85 roster, Calvin Griffith had most of those pieces in place, i.e. Kirby Puckett, Gary Gaetti, Tom Bernansky. All those guys were basically in place when, and Kent Herbeck, of course, when the Pollads bought the team. Not to say that, they didn't allow some things to happen. They picked up Don Baylor for the 87 run. So there were some good things that happened. But I think in general, very bottom line oriented. And I think that not spending the $30 million this year that they had spent last year, I think that had something to do with this announcement that they're going to sell the team.
And I would say this: I love Target Field as a ballpark. It's
no doubt,
a top 5 to 7 venue, in my opinion, in Major League Baseball. But that's been a really good thing because we were promised from the Twins that get us this new ballpark and we'll bring in more players. We'll have more revenue to do so. That never really happened.
Well, they signed Correa.
Well, there's been a few. Josh Donaldson, Carlos Correa, and Joe
God
Mauer.
Josh Donaldson's gone.
But when push comes to shove, in a league with no salary cap, with no ceiling, and a piece or two puts you over the top, they never did that.
That's true. And they could have added a piece or two this year. Even at the deadline, even if they decided at the beginning of the year, we're not going to spend the $30 million that we spent the year before, and you let Sonny Gray go, that's all well and good. But at the deadline, they could have made a move or two to make this a postseason team this year, and they did not do that.
So they're on the blocks. Doesn't guarantee they'll be sold. Artie Moreno thought the Angels were gone, and he's still the owner for the L.A. Angels. It still has to go through a process. MLB's got to approve whoever wants to buy it. But if you know any billionaires, let them know. There's an attractive MLB team on the market.
That's what I hear. Okay. We should take a break because we're going to do takes of the day, the always fun, sometimes interesting takes of the day. Coming up next, you are watching 10,000 Takes, your Twins take.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Cities watching on Fox 9 Plus.
And Fox Local.
Yeah, a lot of options. Soon we'll have takes of the day, but we first should mention the Minnesota Wild. The NHL season has been up and going now for about a week and a half. Wild in the middle of a long road trip, and they've struggled a bit out of the gate. Do you think they're going to be a playoff team?
Boy, that's a great question. Can they stay healthy, I think, is the bigger question. I mean, Jared Spurgeon already hurt. This is a team that fought the same issues a year ago. And then you look at, the decision to keep 3 goaltenders. I mean, how long is that going to be able to be sustainable as well? Because if you have injuries and you have 3 goalies, well, that's one less spot on your roster that you can move guys in and out. So, I don't know. We're still under that salary cap hit, the Suter and Parise thing for another year.
Shackles.
That goes away hopefully sometime next year, and they're able to make some moves. But they have the talent to be a playoff team. I don't know about much more than that.
Well, and they have certainly one of the top players in the NHL in Kirill Kaprizov.
No doubt.
But you have to wonder, and this is just me speculating, but if they miss the playoffs again and there's not any true hope on the horizon for, a Stanley Cup run, how long does Kirill want to play?
I knew you were going
Well, on
there.
the open market, the guy would get quite the payday. And just throwing it out there. So you better show signs of trending up.
Okay.
All right.
I believe we need to do takes.
Yeah, are you going to show any signs of positivity today? You're on. You're up.
Okay. Well, my take of the day. All right. Well, a little bit earlier in the show, we talked about the sale of the Minnesota Twins. Carl Pohlad's venture from back in 1984. Now the Pohlad family deciding to unload their $1.5 billion prize. Who knows how much they're going to get for it. But back in 1984, they paid $44 million to then owner Calvin Griffith for the Minnesota Twins. Well, did you know there was another suitor to purchase this franchise? Any idea who that might have been?
POTUS 45.
Yeah. Yes, Donald J. Trump offered $50 million. He actually outbid Carl Pohlad for the Minnesota Twins. But Major League Baseball's owners said, no way, Jose. They did not want Donald Trump to own the team. They knew about his misgivings with the National Football League. He had a USFL team, the New Jersey General. They sued the NFL. They wanted a merger. That didn't happen. The baseball owners were on the same page as NFL owners. No way did they want Donald Trump to own the team. And if you're a Twins fan and you look at it, you probably should be happy that the Pohlads, who are a Minnesota family, bought the team. Because if Trump had purchased the team, Lord only knows where they might have ended up. They probably would have moved out of Minnesota long ago.
All right, let's check out the mood meter. Yes, indeed. Sarcastic Sam. By the way, he did win his antitrust suit, USFL v. NFL.
Yeah, he got
$1.
$1.
Yeah. But the Mar-a-Lago Twins doesn't have the same ring as the Minnesota.
No, that doesn't play.
All right, well, my take of the day, last weekend had a chance to go out to SoCal, see a lot of wonderful sporting events, go to the beach. One of those was, of course,
go to the beach.
Minnesota at UCLA. And some of my snapshots and takeaways from the Gophers' win at the Rose Bowl was, hey, you had about 15,000 fans flocking out there, wearing maroon and gold, and they were ecstatic their team got the win. They saw the sunset over the San Gabriels and the famed Arroyo Seco. And most of the fans were probably 65 to 70 and up. They knew this was it. We're probably not going to go to that great New Year's Day game, but this is a chance to go to the Rose Bowl. So they showed up. They had fun. I even saw somebody wearing a Bronco Nagurski jersey in Pasadena, of all places. So, yeah. It was fun, and the Gophers got the W, and they own Los Angeles. And on that note, we got to go. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.